Content creation has never been easier or more accessible to get into, but we see it all the time that creators are dropping out of the creator economy. They're going back to 9 to 5 jobs because it is hard to actually make a full time income, to actually build a sustainable business. And so today I want to talk about exactly why that is, and most importantly, how you can become a part of the 4%. That is what a lot of the reports say, at least, is the number of content creators who actually are earning more than $100,000 per year. And I think that number is significant. I think it's life changing, for a lot of people to make that. And so I want to talk about the things that I've learned as a part of the 4% that have helped me take my content creation from a hobby into a real business. And I think that really is my big central theme. If you are like, I don't got a lot of time, I just want the quick answer. That's the quick answer. It's that you've got to start treating your content creation like a real business. The thing that separates a hobby from a business is that a business actually makes money. And if you don't keep track of that, if you don't take it seriously, it's really easy for things to just kind of fall to the wayside. So that is really kind of like the mindset piece of it. Now, the tactical piece of it that I want you to listen to is that you should check out FreshBooks. Thank you so much to FreshBooks for partnering with me on today's episode. They are a small business software that really empowers creators, freelancers, business owners to understand the money side of their business. If you're doing anything like sending invoices and accepting payments, if you are wanting to get a real look at your finances, like which revenue streams are actually earning me the most profit, if you're looking to track your time and know where it's going, to see where you're leaking hours that you could be spending doing other revenue generating activities, FreshBooks is a great tool for you. And they were super generous to give me an amazing discount for y'all, 90% off for a limited time, at least, in the description box. Use my link, helps out the show, and also is going to help you so much so you can take an active stance, an active position in understanding your finances and becoming a part of the 4%. Hopefully, that's the goal at least. Okay, so not knowing your numbers, number one. This is a big thing. When I talk to a lot of creators, I can always tell like who is really running this like a well-oiled machine and who is kind of just starting out, dipping their toes in the water based on how they're talking about revenue and profit margins and expenses, right? Those who can say, "Oh yeah, like we do $20,000 in profit a month," or "we are looking to do $2 million this year," versus people who are kind of like, "Well, I don't know. I got a couple of deals. One was like $3,000 and one was like 5,000, and like I'm hoping, I can make more this year," right? Those are two different archetypes of creators. And listen, there's no shame in the second one. I certainly was that second one for a very long time until I learned how to read a profit and loss statement, frankly. And if you don't know what that is, well, you're going to be able to see it in your FreshBooks account once you sign up, but it's basically like a list of all the different revenue streams, and it'll give you the full breakdown on what makes up that whole piece of your revenue pie. And when I look at that, I can see, okay, like, maybe these small little affiliate deals, maybe I shouldn't be spending so much of my time and energy creating brand new original content for these because they're only making up like 2% of my total revenue versus a sponsorship. Sponsorships are making up like 60, 70% of my revenue. So maybe I need to double down on that, right? These are just examples. These aren't my real numbers. I'm kind of talking off the top of my head, but you'll be able to see those trends, identify those patterns, and most importantly, you'll be able to understand whether or not your business is sustainable or not. And what I mean by that is, are you turning a profit, right? Profit is revenue minus expenses. In FreshBooks, you'll also be able to see all of your expenses, right? Okay, sure, maybe you made $100,000 last year, but you paid yourself $50,000 salary. And then you also spent, $25,000 on renting an office space. You spent $25,000 on paying contractors, and you spent $25,000 on business travel. Well, your business is not making money. Your business is actually costing you money if those numbers were true. And so your goal at that point would be to decrease some of those expenses, right? And all that to say, like, you don't know how to do that unless you see that. There's this quote, I don't know who said it. Maybe I can Google and figure it out, but it's what gets measured gets improved. I think it's James Clear from Atomic Habits, maybe. What gets measured improves. I was that person for so long who was afraid to look at the numbers, right? It's like when you go on vacation and you're like, ooh, I was feeling a little spendy. Like I'm a little nervous to check my bank balance when I get home. It's like that, but like times 100, right? And times like this is your real business. This is your life's work. So we've got to take it seriously. And it's hard because like content creation, it's so fun, right? Like I would be making videos whether I got paid or not, but I am getting paid and I am trying to make this a real business. And so I've got to look at it as that. Next is cash flow. Like we talked about expenses a little bit. Cash flow, what that means is basically like how much income is coming into the business, how much revenue rather is coming into the business. And is it coming in really sporadically? Like, are you getting like $20,000 one month and then like $0 the next month and then 50,000 the next month and then 10,000? It's important to understand your cash flow. And the thing about content creation or really any type of online business is it does tend to be pretty up and down. It is for me, like some months I am doing really, really well. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm rich. And then the next month I'm like, what is going on? And so understanding your kind of patterns is really important. And also, like, ideally, figuring out a way to have some consistency and stability. For me, that has been a couple of things. Number one has been brand partnerships, signing long-term brand partnerships versus one-offs. I choose to do this for a couple of reasons. Number one is honestly, they perform better. They perform better when I'm giving you repeated messaging of saying, hey, sign up for this, sign up for this. Over a period of time, right? That repetition kind of sticks in audience brains. It also enables me to try different methods of sharing it with you guys. So I'm not just like doing a podcast. I'm also maybe doing an Instagram reel. I'm also maybe doing a newsletter, right? And like there's different ways of delivering that message. And the other reason is, yeah, it's easier for me to commit to learning a tool, learning a software, really like, you know, uh, vouching for it if it's a long-term relationship. And in turn, it enables me to plan out my brand partnerships by quarter versus by month or week or day. Now, it's not always the easiest to sign a long-term brand partner, right? Like you've got to kind of crawl before you can walk. So that's my recommendation is if you have a brand that you've worked with in the past as a creator and you loved working with them and you got them results, pitch them like, hey, we did one video together. How about doing 3 over the course of 3 months or 6 over the course of 6 months or whatever that might look like for you? And now you're just signing yourself up for a little bit more of a steady cash flow. The other thing that's really helped me is having my own products and services. So if you are, let's say, a YouTuber, consider offering a video editing package to, just get like a few clients where you do edit their videos. Maybe they pay you $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month. I don't know. That might not be enough to make you that $100,000, right? But it is consistency. Like having a service that you can offers you some stability because you have those recurring invoices coming in. And then similarly, products. If you want to sell a course, if you want to sell merch, if you want to offer a membership program, memberships are nice because they're recurring monthly revenue. So these things can all help you like have that stable income. And those things all make up what I call the creator trifecta. You may know about it if you have my app or if you've watched other videos from mine before, but basically to make a full-time income, I think every creator should have access to a brand relationship, a service, and a product that they can offer so that you're never going hungry, right? You're never like, oh my gosh, I'm making $0 in a month. Like diversification really is key, and being able to cycle throughout those different revenue streams is really helpful. Okay. And then you can use FreshBooks to look at your profit and loss and say, okay, here are the 3, rungs of the creator trifecta: product, service, brand relationship. Here's the ones that are the most profitable. Here's the ones that are bringing in the most amount of dollars. And then you can really double down on those things, making a data-driven decision. I already talked about this at the beginning, but the other thing I had on my list here is like they don't treat their business like a business. I set aside a day every week. I've done this for the past, I think, like 5 years. I call it a CEO day. It's usually on Friday. I set aside a day every week to actually get in there, to get into my profit and loss, to get into my expenses, to like review money coming in, money coming out, and really plan for the week ahead, tie up loose ends, right? Send those invoices, pay those invoices, whatever, so that I am like, I'm having an office day, basically. I call it my CEO day. And it's not always possible, especially if you're like doing content creation on the side of a full time job. I get it. It can be hard to dedicate a full day to it, but have a CEO hour, have a CEO lunch, have a CEO day once a month, right? To actually sit down and review your finances and listen to the story that they're telling you. I have made so many bad business decisions because I've let them all come from my heart or even my brain and what I think people want, what I think is working. And then when I actually sit down with the numbers, I'm like, oh my goodness, I was completely wrong. People don't want courses, they want services, or people don't want services, they want courses, right? Like you don't know until you actually have the numbers in front of you, and it can just save you so much time. So make sure to like schedule time to work on your business, not just in it, performing the services, creating the TikToks, the Instagrams, whatever, like actually get in there. Now, another thing is systems. Systems are really important. I hate to say that because I am like a fly by the seat of my pants kind of gal. Like systems are hard for me, but they are very, very important. Systems can be anything from, okay, you've realized you have a formula, you have a type of video that works really well for you. Make it so easy for yourself to film that video every month, every week, whatever. For me, like my system is like my filming system, right? I've got like the easiest light that you could think of that I literally can turn on from my computer. I've got the simplest camera that I can set up and control with my iPhone, right? I've got like a way that I always do my notes and all these different things, right? That is an example of a system. So now when it's time to film a video, I am not panicking. I'm not freaking out. I'm not like, oh my gosh, like I've got to like start from scratch. No, like I just turn my system on. It's all set up for me already, right? But systems can also come in terms of your finances, right? Invoices, payments, tracking them, all of these things. Like if you're not like actually keeping track of where your money is coming from, well, number one, it's going to be a nightmare at the end of the year. I remember I used to dread tax time. And like, I mean, let's be honest, I still don't like love it necessarily, but I have everything so organized that number one, there are no surprises usually. And number two, like it's so easy for me to just send that over to my accountant and just say, here's my file, like here's my profit and loss, here's all the things that I've done such a good job of keeping track of throughout the year. That's it. That's all I really have to do. So, yeah, if you are not tracking what's coming in, what's going out, yeah, tax time is probably going to be very stressful for you. It certainly was for me when I was like sorting through my personal, Chipotle purchases compared to my contractor payments, right? Like, why was I keeping all of those on one card? All the things, like, no more of that, right? Develop those financial systems and build repeatable processes for yourself so that, your business can really grow. One of the things I love about FreshBooks is that they have invoicing built in there, and you can basically just duplicate your last invoice. And it's so easy, right? You're not having to like set up all the things from scratch anymore. You're not having to import things. It's just like click a couple buttons and now you've got a fresh invoice that you can send to your new client. I also love their payment options. I like to say you want to make it easy for people to pay you, right? I know as a business owner who pays contractors, I have had times where like a contractor will send me the most complicated invoicing instructions. They're like, okay, you've got to direct deposit it, wire it, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, it's not easy for me, so I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to wait until my next CEO day where I'm sat in front of my computer to pay it. Meanwhile, the clients or the contractors who send me like a FreshBooks invoice, I'm paying that immediately. There are so many different payment options that you can choose whether or not you accept, from credit cards to bank transfers to buy now, pay later. Amazing. How easy can it get, right? So make it really easy to pay you. And then lastly, they spend more than they make, right? We talked about cash flow, we talked about expenses a little bit, but one of the things I do in my CEO day is I actually sit down and I look at all my expenses for the week. I definitely do this monthly, but I try to look at it weekly as well, of like what am I actually paying for? It is astounding how much I still catch that I'm like, I haven't used that software in 2 years. Why am I paying for this? Especially nowadays that so many things are on subscriptions, like whether it be a membership, a course, a software. I'm like, I haven't touched that in forever. Why am I paying for that? Right. Or why did the price go up? I didn't even realize that the price was raised. Maybe I need to go price shopping and see if there is another provider, another service that I might be able to get a better deal on. And yeah, I mean, business changes, right? I have seen my business, have really, really high revenue years, have okay revenue years, have high ones, have low ones, have, up and down. And so sometimes the decisions that we make in the moment are not always going to be the best decisions for us 2 years later. I mean, my mom always used to tell me this, like to live within your means, just as life advice, right? And I try to follow that as best as I can. I try not to just like, spend just because it's in my pocket. I think I'm a pretty good saver. And I try to follow that with my business too. Just because you have a really good year, a really good month, a really good day, do not spend all of it. First of all, you got to remember that some of that is going to have to go to the tax man, like it or not, right? That's how this works. So you want to always make sure to set aside money for that. You also always want to set aside money for emergencies, right? Things come up. I mean, when I had a health issue a couple years ago that really took me out of my business for a long time. I was so thankful that I had savings, so I wasn't like, "Oh my gosh, I need to like keep pumping out videos even though I'm not in the condition and the state to be on camera." I had that kind of safety net. Who knows? Like lots of things can happen in the world, so you want to make sure that you are building a safety net for yourself. And then just again, because of the nature of business, it can be up, it can be down. You don't want to be spending like you're rich and then like the next year or next month you're like, doing all right. Like you want to really maintain a budget for yourself and not overspend. And I think it can be hard, especially in the creator economy, because so much of content requires you to be like doing fun things and looking a certain way and having your home look a certain way, and it can be tempting to sort of like keep up with the Joneses, if you will. But I just try to remind myself, like, I know it's in my bank account. I know that I go to sleep at night feeling secure and not worrying about my future, even if I don't have like the latest designer bag or I'm not like jet setting across the world or whatever. So try to keep that in mind as well. So anyway, those are my thoughts on why a lot of creators aren't making a full-time income. And I again want to thank FreshBooks for sponsoring today's episode. If you are somebody who is like, I need to get a grip on my finances, I need to just get an understanding of what is coming in, what is going out. I need to be able to invoice my brand partners or my service-based clients, or enable people to pay for things, track my time, so many cool things. Definitely sign up for FreshBooks, 90% off for your first 3 months using my link for a limited period of time. It will be linked down in the description box and the show notes. Huge thank you to them for partnering. Couldn't recommend them more. And thank you for tuning into this episode. I will talk to you in the next one. Bye.